Just to talk a little bit more about Keller Williams Young Professionals. That was really the inflection point in my career too. Was building a national network of great agents that referred me a bunch of business. So I really want this to be an interactive conversation. I don't want to just be droning on about our listing consultation. This is something that I want questions to come out, and likely sometimes I'll be answering questions later that you might have. So please do ask them. This is just kind of what we do, and a little bit about our team. So we are the #1 Keller Williams team in Connecticut. I grew my small team in Fairfield County. We are about 45 minutes to an hour outside of New York City. Merged my team with Matt Miali about 3 years ago. So we have around, depending on coming and goings of agents, around 25 to 30 full-time agents on our team. And typically on not a super slow market like we have right now, we do around 400 transactions a year in Connecticut, Westchester County, New York, and we're expanding into Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So with that number of transactions, we've had to develop a standardized system. So our clients were receiving predictable results, and our ops team knew where to pick up where we left off. In the crowd here, who has a listing presentation or just kind of goes into every listing kind of differently? Like you walk in and you're like, okay, I know this person wants to sell. I know that whatever's happening, I'm just going to kind of see where it goes. Is that kind of what we're dealing with agents? Have you guys seen that?
I would say yes.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm going to see where the conversation goes. So we wanted to make sure to direct the conversation how we wanted to do it and add some psychology around it. So step number one, forgive me, I have to figure out how to use Meet. So this is kind of what we'll be talking about, and it's 5 steps. This is the same order of operations that we have for our buyer's consultation. We just have it for our listing. So this actually, in this presentation, if there's any buyer consultation branding, it's just because we didn't update it quite yet. But step number 1, build rapport. And this is where a lot of agents start off the conversation poorly, start the consult poorly. Raise your hand if you want to be their best friend. You feel like you want to know them intimately, right? You go in and you want to be, you don't know them, they don't know you. You want to learn everything about them, right? Does that sound familiar? People have done that, I'm sure, because I used to do it. Like, who hasn't had a listing appointment that's been 2 hours long and you know everything about them? That is not, you're actually putting yourself at a disadvantage. You want to talk about what is important to them. So building rapport, it's just open-ended questions. And this should only last a couple minutes. Agents either skip over this part and get right into the listing appointment, or they dwell on this and it's a half an hour long conversation of like, oh, you grew up on that street, I grew up in this street, do you know these people? I know these people. And you get just too much knowledge. This is really open-ended questions. Do you have kids? Where do you live? What's going on in your life? And we're not looking for motivation yet. This is really just to humanize the process, that we understand who they are, they understand who we are, and we've built some small kind of connection. The next step is really just setting the groundwork, setting the agenda. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Rolls right into question number 2. What's prompting you to move? So what are some answers for this? Like, what are you guys seeing in your market that is prompting people to move?
I can't stop stepping on children's toys.
Yeah. So they've outgrown the unit, outgrown the apartment. That is extremely common, at least in our market. We have super low inventory. We have around 3,500 listings in all of Connecticut right now. We used to have around 35,000. So that comes up a lot. So, okay, that's great, Mike. Thank you for letting us know that. So have you had a couple kids since you bought your property?
Yeah, we've had 2.
Yeah. Hey, I just had my first, I get it. Kids are a massive, and it's even on the slide, kids are a massive reason people outgrow and want to move. So this process. We're trying to find out their why. Mike's already raised his hand. He said, hey, I just had 2 kids. We're stepping on their toys all the time. I need a playroom. So we want to continue this conversation. And this is really important to get to know their why, because we're going to bring that up later if we ever have to do price reductions. And I should have started this conversation first. How is the market out by you guys? Are you struggling with getting property sold? Is it a down market? Like, I know it's very different in New England than the rest of the country. Price reductions, is that happening? Inventory going up? What are we seeing?
Inventory is tight and prices, there is a lot of price adjustments, and yet it's so hyper local. There are still areas, if it's priced well, it can still go into multiple offers.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to take a kind of a temperature of the room, because I didn't want to be like talking about a great seller's market where you guys are in a more of a buyer's market. But anyways, so we're clarifying the timeline. All right, Mike. So you say you're stepping on kids' toys. What are you looking to? And if you want to role play a little bit, what are you looking to do?
Well, we live in about 1,300 square feet now, and I personally, I want as many square feet as possible, but we got to be, budget cautious. We need at least an additional room, like you said, a playroom, and then we need to add 2 bedrooms. So we need to get at least 4, maybe 5 bedrooms, and then obviously the more space, the better. So a finished basement is going to be helpful.
Awesome. And so, are your kids in school right now?
My
Or are
oldest
they-
is, and then the 2 that
Okay.
we have, that we've had since we moved here, that they're not in school yet, but a school district is important.
Gotcha. So school district, and you probably want to be settled by the time school comes around, right?
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
we need to be in there ready for whatever district we're going to be in by August.
Okay, perfect. So as you know, and we'll talk about this in a little bit too, as you know, it takes around 30 to 45 days to close on a property. So if we work backwards, we really have to start looking now. And so what during this process really matters the most to you? I know you just said you need bedrooms, you need baths, and we need to be, and that's a whole buyer's consult, by the way, just as the segue, we'll be talking about that too. But a lot of these times when we're talking about a listing, we have to wear both hats of a listing consultation and a buyer's consultation. So you have to jump back and forth a little bit. So the buy side, we're going to figure that out. We're going to talk about that, but let's focus right now on the sale of your property. So we need to sell this or need to have it under contract in the next couple months, right?
Yeah, I would say, I probably need to not own this place before the end of July,
Gotcha.
we need to be out of here, and ready to either be in transition or be in our new house. So I would say that, no more than 3 or 4 more months.
Perfect. Great. That we can definitely make that happen. So I want to step back and also talk about something that's kind of important that I glazed over here. No one has heard me say anything about, besides my introduction to you guys, about my social media presence, my team, anything like that. This is about you. No one cares how much I know until they know that I care about what you're looking to do. So this is a conversation to have directly with questions, talking to Mike. Mike, I want to know about you. I want to know about your goals. He doesn't care about me until he knows I care about him. So we've talked about his motivation. We know his needs now. We could drill further into his buyer side if he's staying local. We, for some reason in Connecticut, have it's a very transient state. So we have a lot of people coming and we have a lot of people going out of the state, in state, out of state. So the buy sell side doesn't always work, but typically I do talk about it in this of like, okay, I know you're going to be buying in some other area. And this is super important, especially if you have a big referral network, which everyone should have. You're looking to move to South Carolina. That's great. Let me put you in contact with my South Carolina agent. It will work out so much better with me on the buy side, or me on the sell side, them on the buy side, so we can coordinate the process of you buying and selling. I know it adds a lot of stress to your life a lot of the times. Let us take on that stress so you can focus on the move. All right. So we've talked about step 1, build rapport. We've talked about the motivation. We kind of know what their needs are. They need to be in a different school system by August. They have the timeline. We have kind of what they're looking for. And the next step is, so have you sold before, Mike?
I have one time.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
It was 2021.
Okay. So kind of recent history, you probably remember. How was that experience for you?
Well, if we could recreate 4 offers and 40,000 over list price, that would be great. It was a good experience. It was definitely stressful getting ready. I think I put too much effort into the minutia of the house. You know, we were the typical seller where we looked around when we were getting ready for pictures and said, why would we move? Because the house was perfect. So, you know, I think I did a lot of extra work. We got a great result, but I don't think the work that I did actually made the biggest difference. I think it was just the market.
Yeah. You know, we are in a similar market, obviously has changed since the peak of COVID market. However, we want to deliver the same results. We want to make sure you are comfortable with the results, obviously, of the sale of the process, also with the start, finish, and end. So how we do that. And so this is where we really want to dig into how we get the property to market. On our team, we have a staging consult, we have professional photography, and we list it well. And I'm not going to go into pricing strategies as much. In this slide, I'm going to kind of wait for a little bit. So this is really talking about us now. So how we can help you. And this is where you get a lot of the objections too. Sounds like Mike had a great experience. That's not always the case. You know, in the room, I'm sure you've had people that just hated their old agent, had a terrible experience, sometimes blamed their agent for just market conditions, but you have to be able to be ready to overcome those objections as well. So have you sold before? What was the experience? And then we do want to talk about the market in general. So I'm going to share another one of my slides that I put together. Share window. I got too many things open right now. Cool. So we want to be the market experts here. So this is one thing that I put together. It's not going to present well, but I'll just do the scrolling. So here's the lead statistics that we want to be able to share. And this is, I print this out and I bring it with me. And this is where we have the ability to shine for our knowledge. We want to have them be like, wow, this is the guy that knows everything. So this is for a listing appointment I went on in Avon. I want to have the median sales price is basically the trend. So I want to be able to walk in and be like, look, and I know you were saying that it is a hyper local market where some markets are not doing as well as others. This is where we field all those questions. Well, I heard, you know, on the news that prices went up 10% year over year, or I heard on the news that prices are going down because they heard about Florida or Texas or one of those. Well, here's the actual stats. And I'd use graphs because it's way easier for people to see them than to hear prices went up 10%. I do the average sales price of Avon versus the entire MLS because I want to show them, yes, I acknowledge that Avon is a premier town. It is going to be more expensive than the average MLS. And that could also bring up some hurdles. That could bring up that the market is a little slower because we are more expensive. This is sales price ratio, walk through it with them. Look, and I probably say this 15 times. When we price your property accordingly or well, we will expect to receive offers that are at 102% of the average sales price. That means if we list at 400, we can expect, can't do the math in my head, what is it, 8,000 over? Yeah, $8,000 over asking. So it's not a huge amount of money, but we do want to make sure we list it correctly and we market it well. Days on market, again, this is what we're setting expectations with all of these conversations. So days on market in Avon is 6. That is a real stat in Connecticut that properties are going off the market within 6 days on average. Avon is a smaller city, so there's not that. I think there's like 12 listings available right now. And then I dig into the number of active listings. This is, again, just setting the expectation because they need to know and have as much knowledge as possible to make the right decisions. So on the market, not many homes for sale. You are kind of a unicorn. We have less than 20 or 30 homes for sale in all of Avon. Number of new listings. Now, a lot of different cities and towns will have very different graphs and outcomes for these kind of graphs. Some have a lot of new listings coming to the market. Some don't have any. Number of new listings. We actually are seeing a lot of listings coming on the market, but they are coming off the market quickly. Months of supply. This really drills home that we don't have many listings on the market. And I also talked to them about what this really means, that a 6 months of supply is a balanced market. We are well under that. We are in a seller's market. So you are in the driver's seat. And I really want them to know that they are in the driver's seat right now, but they need to be price conscious. It's not this free for all. You can do whatever you want to do and it'll sell. It is, if we list it well, buyers will come. Let me just go back to the other slide. I don't think that's the right one. Oh, sorry, guys. Technology is failing me right now. Any questions so far? I'll just open it up while I fix this. Dang, quiet group. I was expecting something. Come on.
I'll throw something out there for you, Dan. How you doing?
All right, let's go, Mike Price.
So what's your opinion? I lead a pretty similar with bringing, pretty stat heavy. Sometimes in my experience, when you get a seller who's not so stat driven, what's your pivot in that action? Are you kind of glazing over it a little bit more brief, kind of interpreting that? What's your style there?
Nope. I think the reason why we're doing all these steps is none of them should be glazed over. All of them should be done. If they're not stat heavy, if they're emotionally driven, you still need to tie their emotions back to reality. And reality is statistics. It is, and we talk about this a lot on our team too, of like, there's so much noise out there that's driven by emotions of like, oh, my neighbor's house didn't sell, the market must be bad. I have this feeling, I saw a bunch of price reductions. It must be the market's bad. Stats don't lie about that. Yeah, there's probably 5% price reductions, but if we're still seeing an increase in average sale price, a decrease in number of houses on the market, decrease in months of supply, we know we're in a seller's market. We know we're going to get the results we're expecting. So just keep drilling them back. And they do start glazing over. However, try to get them involved a little bit. And this doesn't have to be a half an hour conversation. And when you're talking to these the high emotional, low statistic kind of people, you want to have it be done in like 5 minutes, but you still want to walk through it so you can tie it back. All of this is to set the expectations that you can tie back to if there's ever an issue. Because if you are having price reductions, and most agents in the market these days haven't had to have those conversations yet, you need to be able to set up that conversation in the future. And we actually talk about the 5 to 6 strategic conversations that you need to have. All right. So let's talk about the next step. Step number 4. So first off, let's just do a recap. We've built rapport. That's a couple minutes. We've done the motivation needs analysis. We've asked why. So we know that Mike here needs to get out of his house because he has had too many kids and he's in a 2-bedroom and he needs to upgrade to a 4 or 5 bedroom, and we're going to handle the whole process for him. Now we've talked about the market. We've set Mike's expectation, and this is the same on the buy side as the sell side. We've set Mike's expectation on the listing side. He's driving the ship because there are no listings in Avon. There's just not much inventory. We've also put in his brain that there's also no listings in Avon. It's going to be very difficult for him to buy. So if he's looking to move in the same city, we have to prep that with, look, man, there's nothing out there. And your offer being contingent on the sale of your house that's not prepped or ready to sell is not a strong offer. So we have to get it prepped now. And then we talk about the process. So you all obviously do CMAs. We want to talk about the strategy we're going to use to get your home sold. So this is really where I print them out. I'm old school still. I print out a handful of comps. I do 3 or 4 sales, and I do a couple competition of things that are on the market. And sometimes I'll do pending, especially if they've been sold within a couple days of being on the market, just to plant in their head, this is reality. And we can expect, if it's been sold in a couple days, and I use this for the buy side as well, that we likely will see it at or over asking. Oops. So this is the process. Hey, Mike, you are in a 1,200 square foot, 2-bedroom house. Here's some comps. This one was sold in July. It's coming up on a year. Prices have gone up. This one sold for this. We're just kind of sitting down and having them self-discover their own price. Who walks in and asks, like, what do you want to sell your house for? And we list it for that price. That doesn't really happen, right? Anyone walk in and be like, yep, you're right. Your house is worth $1 million. I'm going to sell it for that. Doesn't happen, but we want to educate them. And I don't want to be the person that's telling them what their house is worth. I want to be the person directing the conversation for them to self-discover that their house is worth XYZ. And I also want to set the expectation that if it doesn't sell, we might have missed the moving target of the market. I don't dictate the market. You don't dictate the market. We can't do anything, but we can handle the emotions of the buyers coming in. So for me, my price strategy is here's what market will probably get you. Let's come in a little lower than that. Let's make sure the stager is in the property, makes it look great. Let's make sure the photographer comes in. We're going to send you over the review of the MLS. We're going to have coming soon on a Monday or Tuesday. We're going to go live on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to try to get as many buyers in there as possible. We're going to have open houses. We're going to do everything that we typically do for all of our properties for yours. We know that this process is going to get you predictable results. So if we list it at XYZ that they've self-discovered, we think that's a great price. The comps are supporting that. We will have multiple offers typically in this situation. So we also want to take their pricing strategy and go back to their goals. So say Mike's house was worth $500,000 and they want to list at $550,000. Probably not going to get him to his goals. So Mike, I know you want to be out of this property by August. We are going to have to price it a little bit more aggressively. I can't dictate, as I mentioned, the market. I can't tell you what it's going to sell for. I can give you guidance. However, what we can do is afflict the emotions of the buyers. So as a buyer's agent, when I go on, and do you guys use Showing Time?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I know there's some places out that way that don't for some reason. It's wild. But as a buyer's agent, when I go on Showing Time, I can see all of the scheduled showings. I know if this is going to be a hot property. I went to the open house. There was a bunch of people there. That emotion of someone else wants this property, I want it too, is going to get you the best offer. So if we can actually underprice it a little bit less than you're looking for, we will likely get better offers, whether it's better terms, better price, better timelines, all of that. We basically want to set you up to be able to choose your destiny on this. And with that, we likely can negotiate you being in the property longer to get you to your goal of being able to buy your other property and have you not be homeless in the interim. So once we have it under contract, it's going to make your offer to buy a lot stronger. So we will actually share that with them. Cool. Any questions on this step?
Dan, can you repeat that last little bit about how you speak to your seller about we need to get you under contract so that you're in a stronger position to buy? Can you repeat that? This part of that.
Forget what I said, but yeah, I have to go back to the recording for it. But getting your property under contract will make your buy side offer a lot stronger. Something along those lines. Yeah. We'll have to go back to the recording for that, but typically I want to have them, and the whole thing is having them understand that their buy side is really heavily contingent on how we prep their listing. I have some listings in my pocket right now that won't be going on the market for a little while, but we've already had the staging consult done. We've already had photography done because they understand, and we've had this conversation that first off, you need to sign with me, which we'll talk about in a second. And once we have something that you really like, I can negotiate with the other agent, be like, look, Here is their property. We know the market. This thing's going to sell instantly. Here's the comps. We're going to list it here. We can expect offers. This, Hubbard clause or contingency to sell is kind of meaningless because we know we're going to be able to sell it. Let's talk about the other terms. So it's helped me a lot of get the buy sale under contract within states, and also having using agents in the referral network out of state too. So cool. All right. Now here's the real one. This is where a lot of agents feel like they have to shy away of like, great, Mr. Buyer and seller. We had a great conversation. I hope to work with you, right? We actually want to go for a hard close. So we want to actually talk to them and have the transparent conversations of, first off, this is why you want to work. I've just showed you all of our value proposition of, we're going to do all of these things to make sure we have your predictable results and get you to where you want to be. I have heard you. I've asked you questions. I care about your results. We know you have to be in this house by August. We know your kids are moving schools. We know you're stepping on toys. We know all of these things. We know your motivation. Let's get you there. Hire me. So this has been a great conversation. I think Mike might have jumped off. Here, the next steps for us is getting your listing paperwork signed. So in this listing paperwork, we charge 3% as the listing agent commission. Just messed up those words, but listing agent commission is 3%. That covers our staging consult, our photography, our marketing, getting it on the MLS, basically everything. In this listing consultation, and I'm not sure if you guys do it this way, but this is how I run mine. It's in our contract. Basically, it says we authorize or do not authorize buyer's agency commission. Obviously, it's a choice how you want to run your business. If you say authorize or don't, I typically personally say I do not authorize buyer's agency commission. However, Mr. Buyer and seller, be open to the idea that you will have to be paying a buyer's agency commission. The reason I'm not specifying a number is because buyer's agents will call me and ask me, are you offering a buyer's agency commission? And if we have a listed number, I have to then advertise that. If we don't have a listed number, I say my buyer or my sellers are open to paying a commission. However, there is no set commission. In my experience, I had one listing, and this is actually a story I tell them. I had one listing last year. It was a grandma special. We listed it for $200,000. We had 180 different showings. We had 79 offers, and the highest offer was $300,000. And they are only asking for 1.5% buyer's agency commission. Now, in this instance, if we had been advertising a 2% or 2.5% buyer's agency commission, we would have had to tell them, and you likely wouldn't be netting less money. So when buyer's agents call me, I tell them we're looking for the best terms and the most to net to you. So this actually could save you some money. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but that is a conversation that a lot of agents shy away from, that I think we really need to be having, because the transparency goes a long way. It will go a long way in them showing up to closing and being like, yep, I agreed to this percentage. I am not surprised by it, even though I signed the paperwork. And it will go a long way to you getting return business from them, especially if you've delivered a very strong value proposition all along the way. So after you sign it, it's Cody on my team. He's our admin. He's going to reach out and schedule photography. So the photographer is going to come, or actually it should be staging, then photography. Staging, the stager is going to reach out. They're going to schedule a time. Take the advice of the stager. It's their impartial job to look at your property and say, yep, this sofa should be here. This color wall, maybe paint it. I typically don't, in this market, tell my clients to do major repairs. For one, it's going to be a hassle to you, and for two, other buyers are going to come in, and you're likely not going to get the same return on investment. So, the small things definitely do from the stager. A lot of it is what I call pre-packing. It's decluttering. It's making sure the pictures look good. Then we're going to have the photographer come. It's really up to you on this timeline. So if the stager says you have a ton of stuff to do, start chipping away. I know your timeline. You want to be on the market sooner than later. So hopefully you can get the staging done quickly. Our photographer is going to come take pictures, and they're professionals. We are not a team that does cell phone pictures. We have a professional come, they'll take great pictures. And then once we have all of that, we will compile a listing. We will send it over for you to review. Now, we want to make sure the description, all of the facts of the property are correct. So please review this. You know your property better than anyone else. So you know that there's a park down the street. There's other things that we might not have in that listing description. Offer them up to us. Obviously, we have to abide by the fair housing laws, but please let us know what you would like added in there. And then obviously we want this to be as clear as possible on the timeline. So I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna send you over the listing agreement. Please review it, sign it, ask me any questions, and then that will start the clock of my team getting started. Since it is Saturday, Cody will be reaching out to you on Monday with additional paperwork and additional documents needed, and I cannot wait to start helping you and get along with this transaction and transition for you. So that's basically it. Just ran through a lot of it. I hope there's some questions. So please raise your hand, speak up. Anything you need.
Do you get a lot of pushback when you talk about the buyer broker commission?
Sometimes, and just be prepared for it. So I never want to lose a listing over
Sure.
commission. It's so obviously this is recorded. All commissions are negotiable, and we typically go in at 3% or even 3.5% because we know that we are going to net the sellers the most, and we're professionals. But I'm not going to not take a listing at 2%, So that is really it's a game that you're feeling people out. And then the buyer's agency commission, yes, there is some pushback, and I've had people be like, well, why am I paying a buyer's agency commission? Well, this is how it's typically been structured for as long as I've been in real estate, that used to be one fee that was paid, and then the brokers would share it. Attorneys got involved and made it more complicated and actually less transparent for the transactions. So this is now the rules that we live by. And typically, and on the buy side, I don't think I've had one buyer pay me out of pocket for their commission. We roll it into the offer. Knowing that most buyers are going to be rolling it into the offer, we could say no commission is offered. However, they will have to come out of pocket, which will likely reduce the value that you're going to get from your property. Being negotiable, and typically this is where I go into stories. And this is a real story. I actually just had this happen where we negotiated the buyer's agency commission. The buyer's agent actually reduced their commission to make sure their offer was won. So that's why we don't have it as a set price. Who pays the staging, client or via your commission? So our team pays for staging, and it's just a staging consult. So we're not actually bringing furniture and whatnot into the properties. Obviously, if we're working on a $2-3 million property, the budget would be a little different, but we again want to standardize everything, and we want to have the reputation of, if it's our listing, we've had it all done right. Obviously I've sold hoarder houses and houses that are just not stageable. And with that, we still want to have a professional photographer go in. Because even if it's piles of junk everywhere, we want to have it professional piles of junk at least. But yes, that all comes out of our pocket. That is our investment to our clients. And that is really a reflection on our business. I don't know about you, but there's been a lot of other agents in the market, and like, oh, this one agent has a $2 million listing, and her finger literally is in like the picture of one of her cell phone pictures. Like, you have a $2 million listing at 2.5%, $50,000, and you couldn't spend money on a photographer. Like, that's crazy. So it's one of our postcards. We want to make sure that what we're putting out there also attracts us clients. I think there's another question.
How do you handle the seller who wants you to take a reduced commission? When you're in the listing appointment, they say, well, John Smith down the street said he'd do it for 2%.
It's tough. Again, I don't want to lose it really depends on the entire conversation we're having. I will never say no to a lower percent commission, especially for a listing in this market. Obviously, when the market flip-flops, that might change
Sure.
because I know that I'm going to get paid and it's going to get paid quickly. And I know that if I do and this also is a point that no matter the commission, they're still getting the full amount of our services, because I'm looking to build a relationship and we are a massive SOI team. So that's great that he'll only do 2%. We typically charge 3.5. I could come down to, or they did 2%. I could come down to 2.5. That's our reduced rate. It does include all of the value prop that I just told you. It includes our stage, and just tie it back to everything that we're giving them and tie it back to this is where you can kind of brag about yourself. We do charge more because we typically get more for our sellers. And we have seen as a collective over 400 transactions a year. We have seen basically everything. I have a decade of experience. My team has, I don't know how many decades or centuries of experience now. We know how to overcome any problem. And I assure you that our service will net you or solve more problems for you than Joe Schmo down the street. So, or if they keep pushing at it, sure. If you want to take it if the most you're feeling comfortable is 2%, I definitely can do that for you. Just what I would ask in return is to share our name share our name when we're done with this transaction and during the transaction, because as you know, we are a big sphere of influence and referral team, and also come to our events and just share how much you've enjoyed the experience that you had. So I've had transactions where it's been $100,000 transaction and they've referred me to a $700,000 transaction. So I'm not going to say no to a specific one person paying me less.
Gotcha.
Do I pre-qualify them before going out to the listing appointment? Yeah, I'll have a phone call. So obviously a phone call, I'll have to set the appointment. And so we're starting those kind of questions, but we do want to still, we're going to get a little bit of a motivation on the pre-qualifying listing appointment, but in this market, I'm going to every listing appointment I can get. On our team, one of our sayings is do the two. It's one of our pillars. We want to be doing 2 appointments a week, listing or buyers. So yes, I'm going out to the listing appointments. Obviously, if it's I've been doing this for long enough that I know when it's just not going to be a possibility if they're dreaming. I do have a real world example of why you should always go on listing appointments. I recently, this is probably 4 months ago, went on a listing appointment. They wanted 2.65, and they were very upfront about that. Another colleague at my old brokerage or my old market center, young guy, set the appointment. His team lead, not TL, but rainmaker, I guess you call him, said it's not worth going on that appointment. They want too much money. Well, we're under contract for 2.55. This would have been the kid's first transaction, and it would have been a $2.55 million transaction. So go on the listing appointment no matter what. Megan, so on our contracts, at least, and I'm not sure how you guys do it out there, we cannot put TBD. We just say do not authorize buyer's agency commission. And this is how I personally run it. I know there's other people on our team that don't, but I want that to be completely negotiable. In a hot market, I know that there's been a lot of people that, a lot of agents that are just desperate to get their buyers under contract. I'm one of them sometimes, and they will offer less commission or request less commission. So on the list side, when I get those calls coming in asking for our buyer's agency commission, I just say commission is negotiable. Our seller is looking for the best terms and the most that they're going to net. And that typically puts the buyer's agent in check that they will not ask for like 5%. They understand that we're looking at the net amount to the seller. Cool. What other questions you guys have? How can I help? And this is I think one of the themes that has really come up while I've been doing a five-step consult and just in real estate over the last decade is we're really looking to solve their problems. And the bigger the problem, the bigger we'll get paid, and the more we'll get paid. So um, if we find the solution and present the solution as easy as possible for them, the commission conversation never really comes up as much as you'd think. We wrap our head around it and we get really spun around the axle of like, they're going to know more than we think they know about commissions. It's not as common conversation as we think it is because we see it all in the Facebook groups and whatever else.
Dan, what is, I'm just gonna be nosy and ask this question because I'm the PC here. What is your conversion rate for your listing appointments? How many of your listing appointments that you go on do you actually gain the listing?
So I have a pretty unique conversion rate versus other people. Most of my business now is sphere of influence based and agent to agent referral and past client referral. I would have to look up my statistics, but I would say I'm in the 90% range.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really just because most of my appointments are come list me's. It is, I just got one today. Hey Dan, here's my aunt and uncle. They have a property here. Could you help them out? Of course I can. And then I walk in and if it's friends, family, whatever, it's still the same five-step consult. They're still getting the same process because I want them to have the expectations set. And that's really what it is. Aaron, do I pre-qualify them going out and listening? I kind of mentioned this earlier, but no, I'll ask the questions of like, is everyone there going to be able, or is all the decision makers going to be present? Like those kind of things. What's your timeline? I'll ask the tertiary questions. And then I really want to still go in. Any listing appointment is worth going on. It's the same thing on the buy side. A lot of people say they don't work with pre-approved buyers. I want to have a consult and it's worth my time to go and have a consult with any buyer or seller because it might not be business for 30 days from now, 40 days, whatever it is. It might be a year from now, but I've already brought all the value. I've made a memorable experience for them and they are not going anywhere else. So any chance for me to get in front of a buyer or a seller that has a need, I'm going to take it.
How long is your listing appointments, the average timeline? Because this is a lot of information to go to, but you're very efficient in your presentation. So how long is your typical listing presentation?
Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Depending on it. I've had longer ones and I've had much shorter ones. I've had ones where I'd walked out and be like, oh shit, they hate me. Like they didn't like anything. And then I get a text later like, hey, can you send over that paperwork? Just because they are very much, if you walk in with confidence, they're going to take what you're saying as like the truth, which it is, especially when it's presented in a way that's easily digestible. And they're ready to go. And I've had other ones where they're very analytical of everything. So they want to take time and they want to review everything down to the T. So I've had really short ones that I thought went well. I've had really long ones that I thought went poorly or vice versa. But yeah, around 45 minutes in and out.
And then do you send them the paperwork after the presentation or do you actually give it to them at that time?
So I hate paperwork in general. I definitely hate having actual papers. So I'll send everything through Dotloop that we use or DocuSign. I like having it all in one place. If it's papers, you should see my desk right now. I have too much shit everywhere. I'm going to lose them, to be honest. So I need them to be in a home from day one. And that also sets the expectation that we are running a digital transaction where a lot of my sellers and buyers, I talk directly through text a lot of the times. We have phone calls when needed, but everything is signed on Dotloop and DocuSign. And I know there's the risk of, well, what if someone else comes in? Or what if, their neighbor reaches out? There's a lot of what ifs, but I know that I'm confident in my value proposition, my listing appointment, that that what if is okay. Well, they have another question. I'll answer it. I'll overcome that objection.
How long do you think, because you're very confident in your presentation here, how long did it take you to build that skill, I guess is my question. Did you always walk in like you own the place, or was this a skill that you built up over time?
Yeah, I mean, fake it till you make it is one of the things. So in our team, we have Monday morning market stats that we drill into what's happened over the last week. So I am extremely confident in what's happening in the market, which if you ask me questions, and I'm also leading those conversations where I'm giving them information that they can ask me questions specifically on. Like, for instance, I'll just have a couple stats ready to pull out of like, yeah, and this market's really tough. Like I'm showing you all these graphs on a national level. Some areas are struggling. You might have heard that. On a local level of Connecticut, we have only 3,500 listings. We used to have around 35,000. So we really don't have much to sell. Like, and that disarms them instantly. They're like, oh, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. So that can give you a lot of confidence of knowing the market. And a lot of the times I don't know the specific towns that I'm selling in. I'm not the market expert in that town, but I am the market stat in that town. I won't know which ice cream is better from which location, but I will know what the average sale price is, how many days on market, how to strategically price the property. And no one needs to know that this grocery store has better chicken than this one. Like that doesn't actually matter. What matters is the financial outlook of their property. So for building the confidence, I was a very unconfident person for a lot of the career. And then I've just been doing this and having so many reps at it that I've won a lot. And I've kind of, I always have the presumptive close. The whole consultation isn't a sales pitch of me doing the job for you. This is me prepping you for the job I'm going to be doing for you.
I love that. This is just another kind of odd question, but did you practice that when you first started?
Oh yeah, of course.
Practice
And this is coming from the PC coach.
yes.
Yeah. So yes, script practicing is super important.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that is we do that on the team all the time. I was actually just on a call that I do a wealth mastermind on the team too, and we're script practicing around how to go direct to sellers to buy their property or list it. So yeah, script practicing all the time and getting the reps in. A lot of people think they're too good for some business. I think even rentals, I do a lot of rentals. I have a property management company too, but I do a lot of rentals and I give a lot of rentals to our newer agents on the team because they're getting the reps. They're understanding the vocabulary of real estate and vocabulary of sales. So yes, it's script practicing, knowing your stuff, knowing the numbers. There's no listing that I walk into thinking there is a better agent for the job than me.
Beautiful. Love that.
Cool. Anything else, guys?
Come on, guys.
I just stunned you, I guess, with talking for 45 minutes here. I am.
I have a question. I do have
Sure.
a question. So obviously you said you don't like having paper and everything handy. So when you're going to them, are you pulling up like an actual presentation with all of the data on your computer and that's how you're going through it like with them, or like what's your style format for that?
So good question. I shouldn't say I don't I should have said I don't like paper. I don't like paper that I have to keep track of. So I do show up, I print out those market stats that I have. I give them that. I give them comps that I staple together. I highlight some stuff. I highlight basically the stuff that I have to find when I'm showing the comps. So unfortunately, I don't have one here, but like I'll walk through, okay, this house sold for, 800,000. It sold on this date. It was on, and the key points, it was on for this many days. It was this many square footage. It has one more bathroom than yours. And I walk them through and I literally have the pictures. I flip them over and I say, look at this. This kitchen is nicely updated. I also point out when properties are poorly listed, I want them to see like, oh, yeah, I know I need a professional. Like I want professional pictures. I'm like, yeah, this one not marketed great. This one marketed similar to how we do it. You know, it looks like a stager came in. So we're just showing them more value while we're talking in a normal conversation. But yeah, I'll have all those paperwork with them. I'll leave them with them. I should note that we don't have like a glossy 10-page marketing, you know, this is all the stuff we do. Just don't believe in that. We don't, that's not a value to really anyone. That's going in the trash anyways. What I believe in is showing our value for asking them questions, finding out their motivation, showing them value by showing the market and stats. Like there's so many agents out there that have no idea what's going on in the market. They just know on their feelings, and their feelings are typically, especially with those quality agents, are only on the 3 or 4 buyers they're working with. So they have such a small view of what's actually happening. We want to bring a holistic approach to the market. So yes, I really only bring those. I've got on listing appointments where I only have a spiral notebook and I take some notes. And both have worked out fine, but I do like having the market stats at least with them, and then the comps. Yeah, I think in general, a lot of agents try to prove their value by having things of, oh, I'm going to have a beautiful brochure at your property. Anyone on this call probably can attest that when you go to a property and you see a beautiful brochure, like your clients pick it up, but they're not like, oh my God, look at this. They're like, okay, I like this kitchen, or I don't. Like that's the glossy brochure is not going to actually sell them on the property. Yeah, it makes you feel good that your client or your clients see it. Like you feel like you added value, but you didn't. Properties sell because there's a baseline of how they should be marketed, which is professional photography, and we do staging. After that, it's really price. There's no amount of Instagram videos or whatever else that's going to sell a house, even though I've bought properties from Instagram. But that's a whole nother story.
Anybody else? Nobody. I think that's all we got in here.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. You have the QR code up here. I'm leading up our team's referral network, just to put a plug out there for that. We do, I've been coordinating 3 or 4 referrals basically a week for a while. So please add yourself to the referral network. Keep us in mind for New England in general. We have great agents. One is actually on the call, Dan Preston up in Vermont too. So yeah. And we can either, if we're not servicing that area, we can direct you to an agent that would be a great fit. So if you ever need more for the Market Center, we'd be happy to come and talk about some of the other classes that we've put together. And hopefully all of you have gotten some knowledge from this and some tactics that you can use for your next listing presentation.
Thank you. We will be having you back. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Feel better, Aaron. And again, appreciate you guys. And reach out if you have any follow-up questions. Definitely here to help. And I'm an open book about just about everything.
All right. Sounds
Thank
good.
you, Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, guys.